Hi, David Schuweiler here. This screencast will walk you through step by step everything you need to know in order to be in compliance with Newton Conover's School Fusion requirements. I will be going through these instructions fairly quickly, so if you would like to work along, you may need to pause the video in order to give yourself enough time to work. If you have a question about a particular point, the description of this video below on the YouTube page has an outline of what will be covered and links to the part of the screencast that covers each part. There's also a list below of what needs to be included, some of which should be updated monthly. At minimum, all pages should include a welcome message and contact info, a schedule, resources, important dates, assignments and homework, and a newsletter. So let's get started. Everything we do in this video will look slightly different depending on what school you work in, although the general principles will be the same. First, let's log in and access our Fusion pages. On the left side here, you should see a login section where you can put your username and password. For most people, the username is first name _ last name. So let's use mine as an example. Once you log in, the login menu becomes replaced by several menu options, which will again look different depending on what school you work in. You can access your Fusion pages through the Fusion Pages link here. For this example, we will look at my honors chemistry class. When you reach the page, it may look something like this, depending on whether you've already done work to your page in the past. Each of the boxes represents something different in the page. The boxes can be moved around by clicking this button here, the drag and drop tool, to relocate each box, whether higher or lower on the priority, or switch them over to one side of the page or another. To hide a box you don't want to use, you can click the arrow in that box. Click OK. And if you would like to add a new box, you can go over to this dialog over here, the Add Fusion tool. Click here and just click whatever type of box you would like to add. In this case, I'm going to put my schedule back in the page and drag it back over to where it was before. Okay. One of the main requirements is for each page to have a welcome message and contact info. The best way to do this is through the Edit Description button at the top of the page, located right here. Here you can type in a welcome message for students that will appear at the top of the page. This is also a good place to add your email address. You can add a link. You can create a link for students to email you with one click by highlighting your email address, selecting the link button at the top of the page, and switching the link type to email. Okay. All you have to do is type in your email address here, click OK, and now when students look at your page, all they have to do is click on your email address and a dialog will automatically pop up for them to email you. You can add text throughout the rest, a welcome message for each class, and you can use the dialog buttons up at the top similar to the way you would in any kind of text editor. When you're finished, you can click Edit Description, and now all your students will be able to see your welcome message at the top of the page and email you with a click of a button. Another requirement that is required for all teachers is to have a schedule that students can check. Because I work at the high school, I've posted my daily class schedule as well as a reminder about when I can be reached for tutorials. If you don't have a schedule box, you can add one using the Fusion tools, the Add Fusion tool button over here. Click Edit Schedule to input your schedule, which will again look different depending on what level you teach. The editor looks just like the one we used before for the Edit Description box. Here, I place my schedule into a table which can be created through the Table button up at the top. While the table function can be difficult to work with at times, it will end up looking good in the end. When you're done, click Save to save your changes. Students who access your page may benefit from additional resources, or you may wish to post links for assignments to your page. School Fusion has two options for including resources. You can either upload files using the Files box here, or upload links to other outside web pages or resources. Again, both of these things can be found if they don't appear on your page in the Add Fusion Tool drop-down box. And if you'd like to relocate any of them to a different position on the page, you can do that through the drag and drop function here. Let's look at files first. Files work similar to the way they do on your computer. They can be organized into folders or just kind of uploaded into the general section here. Let's go ahead and add a folder. When you create a folder, you're given the option to create a folder name. So I'm going to go ahead and call this one Test Materials. And you can go ahead and give it a description as well. So this will be Review Materials for Test 1. Okay. One of the cool things about folders is you can give it the option of including it for different sites. So if I teach both CP and honors chemistry at 2 different levels, I can include these resources for both classes without having to upload it at the same time. But for this folder, I think I'm just going to keep it honors chemistry. So let's click Add Folder. In order to upload files, you can do it in one of 2 ways. You can click the Add Files button at the top to add files directly like those up here, or you can go into the folder that we created, like my Test 1 folder. I'm going to click on that, and then it will show you what all is involved. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add a File. It'll give you the option to choose a file to upload. I'm going to click on this right here. I'm going to upload this picture of Albert Einstein because I'm going to test my students on what Albert Einstein looks like apparently. Okay. You can give that a description. You can describe exactly what it is. This is a picture of Einstein. And choose which folder you want to put it in. Clicking Add File will give you that option, and now it will appear in the Test 1 folder. In order to go back to the home page where you were, you can go click on the Back to Fusion page home up at the top right here. Okay? And now students will be able to access that document. You can do that for slides, presentations, homework assignments, remediation resources, practice sets, whatever it is you can think of. Another thing you can include is links. You can either create a category similar to what we did above with the folders or simply add links. I'm going to go ahead and create a link here now. The link that I want to create is for a site called Science Magazine. And the URL for Science Magazine, this site right here, is www.sciencemag.org. I'm going to go ahead and copy this over to my Fusion page, and in the URL box I'm going to paste the URL to my website. I'm going to tell my students exactly what website this is, Science Magazine. And I'll describe it as the Science Magazine homepage. You can give the students the option to open the link in a new window, and again, just like before, you can choose what classes to include it in. I really want my CP chemistry kids to have access to this site too, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure that's selected as well. And you just hit Create Link, and if you scroll back down to where that was, you'll see Science Magazine has been added with a description of what exactly it'll take them to. If you want to edit these files, it works the same way in both files and links. You can click the button, the pencil, next to any of these options, or to remove one, you just simply click the X. Next, let's look at how to add important dates, like due dates or field trips, to our page. There are several ways to do this, but the main one is under the calendar here. Again, if you don't have the calendar, you can add it through the Fusion Tools drop-down box. Under the calendar, you'll see a button that says Add Event. If you click that, you'll have the option to create a new event. I'm going to go ahead and give this event a name, and I'm going to call it Field Trip to the sewage plant. Okay. I'm going to choose what date I'm going to go with my students. Let's say it's going to happen on Thursday, the 28th. You can select what time it starts at 8 in the morning and what time it ends at 10 in the morning. Or if you want to select that it lasts all day, we can say it's an all-day event. I'll tell my students exactly what my field trip is. Field trip to the sewage plant. And I'll give my students a reminder here in the description box to turn in your permission forms by Monday. With events, you also have an option to include an additional contact information, like if you have a chaperone or coach that your students may need to get in contact with. You can also create a link for students to be able to access. So here I could create a link with using a URL to, say, the sewage treatment plant's homepage. You can select to have an email notify all of the students in your class by email, either immediately or a specific amount of time before the event. You can also choose to have the event repeat, whether daily, on weekdays, weekends. But since this is a one-time event, we're just going to set no repeat. You can choose what classes to share this with, so I could share this with other classes if I wanted to, but I'm just going to keep it at my honors chemistry kids. And then at the bottom, you have the option to either add the event and view what the event you just created, or add event and then create another event. I'm going to go ahead and just add the one event and see what it looks like. Okay. And this is to tell my students exactly what happens. So this is the email for my group members. So it'll notify all of the members of the honors chemistry group exactly what it was. So it gives you the option to customize a message email to all of your students. But let's say I like the default one here. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and click send email. But since this isn't a real event, we're going to go ahead and hit cancel. Okay. Now you should see on the 28th a new event has appeared. If I click on that, I'll see that the field trip to the sewage treatment plant is scheduled. And if I click on the pop-up box that appears, it'll give me information about what I just posted. And so students will be able to see that as well as parents. I'm going to go back to the Fusion page home. And next, let's talk about assignments. Okay? So in the homework category, this homework box here, you have the option to add assignments for students. So let's again go ahead and click Add Assignment. You can give the assignment a name, like say Review Packet 2 for week 2's review packet. You can add a description, and just like before, you can add links in order to give your students access to outside materials. And also you can give students the option to submit their homework online. What that does is it gives them a box that will allow them to upload files on their computer, like a PowerPoint or a Word document. I can also choose to assign this assignment to other classes like CP Chemistry and Honors Chemistry, and I can even select different due dates for each class. But this is just going to be an Honors Chemistry assignment, so I'm going to click Save. Scrolling down, I now see that Review Packet 2 is an assignment, and you may notice that Submit Your File has now appeared as an option. That's where students can go and click to upload their assignment and give you a comment as to a little note about their assignment. You also notice that since it's due on August 18th, if you go over to August 18th on the calendar, you should see Review Packet 2 is due, which also happens to be when Quiz 1 is. The last element that you should have on your Fusion pages is a newsletter. Okay, and this is going to look different depending on what school you work in. It's a monthly requirement. But if you're unsure about what it is that you need to include, check with your coworkers or principal. One of the easiest ways to do this is through the announcements panel. If you click on an Add Announcement, it'll give you the option, the dialog box again, to be able to edit. You can give it a title, like September Newsletter. And you can either create a newsletter in here, or if you have another blog or other outside source that you link to instead, you can just type in something in this box here, highlight the text, and click Link, and insert the URL for whatever page it is that you have your students working through. Click, oops, didn't include a link here. So you can click Cancel. Normally you would hit OK. You can also choose to upload a file or an image to add as a thumbnail for your particular announcement. I'm going to click Cancel since I didn't actually make an announcement here, but normally you click Save and your announcement will be created. So that covers it. If you didn't get all that, you can use the links below the video to go back to a specific part. Remember, there are 6 key requirements for each Fusion page: a welcome message and contact information, your schedule, resources for students, important dates, assignments and homework, and a monthly newsletter.